Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryankaravavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu Mavid Vishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. In the discussion of the yajnas, we have covered the two, the receipt and the reaction. Verse number 26 spoke about the receipt. Verse number 27 spoke about the reaction part. Now in verse number 28 that we are going to study, we are going to discuss the reaction part. The transaction of life is the 3R. Receipt of stimuli from the external world, reaction within, and then the response back. This is the traffic of life. Through the jnanendriyas, the organs of perception, stimuli is received. The inner personality, the mind and intellect reacts. Depending upon the reaction, there would be a response. Response through the organs of action. Now, we have seen how to convert the jnanendriya portion. When the senses receive the stimuli, how to convert that into an yajna. Also, we saw how when the reaction happens within oneself, how to convert that into yajna. Now we are going to see how the response back into the world can be converted into an yajna. We read the verse. Dravya yajna taposya Dravya yajnas tapo yajnaha yoga yajnas tata pare swadhyaya jnana yajnascha yataya samshita vrataha. Dravya yajnas tapo yajnaha yoga yajnas tata pare swadhyaya jnana yajnascha yataya samshita vrataha. Yet others again offer wealth as sacrifice, austerity as sacrifice, yoga as sacrifice, and ascetics of rigid vows offer study and wisdom as sacrifice. In one verse, he is covering 4 yajnas. 4 types of responses. 4 types of responses. The first response is Dravya yajna. Now we have seen any number of times, yajna means sacrificial, beneficial actions. Sacrificial, beneficial actions. This is what yajna means. Therefore, what happens? If you have to follow the principle of yajna, all the responses that come out of you must be of some benefit. Then only it can be called as yajna. All type of responses that come out of you must be of benefit to the others. Then only it can be called yajna. If the type of responses that is coming out of me is one of anger, hatred, belittling, gossiping, and then do a holy activity, it would not be called as yajna, because the responses that is coming out of you is not beneficial to the other. So to qualify to to qualify an action as yajna, the primary condition is it has to be beneficial to the other. By acting to the welfare of the other, you are reducing something in yourself. Two conditions to yajna. One is, number one, you are doing, or the action that you do is always for the benefit of the other. That is in relation to the other. Okay. What happens in relation to you? What is it that is relevant to you here? One aspect of yajna is benefit to the others. Now, what is it in relation to you? In relation to you, your raga dvesha, your likes and dislikes, your ego, your delusion keeps reducing. So yajna karma is beneficial to the donor and yajna karma is beneficial to the receiver. Only when these two conditions are fulfilled, you can call it as yajna karma. Only when these conditions are fulfilled. When these conditions are not fulfilled, you cannot call it as yajna karma. So, the world offers you stimuli and you are careful about it. And then there is a reaction inside of you and you attended to it. Now, it's not just you are only receiving stimuli. Your actions are the stimuli to the others. Just as the world offers you stimuli, how are you offering stimuli back to the world? How are you offering stimuli back to the world? Through your actions, you are offering stimuli back to the world. Therefore, that portion of you offering stimuli back to the world also must be associated with yajna karma. It's your responsibility to ensure that what kind of stimuli you are offering to the other. Just as you ensure that you receive good stimuli, equally or more importantly, you have to ensure that you give good stimuli to the world also. Then yajna is complete. How can you be of benefit to the others? There are 4 types he has described. Before I go into the 4 types, we will describe the importance of, first I will discuss the importance of why we take response as a separate entity. Just as why you have to take response as an entity and be careful about it is because your responses are the stimuli to the world. People say, if you take it that way, it is your problem. You can't take that stance. You have to make an effort to ensure that from your side, good responses come out. Otherwise, generally people say, I am not worried. I am not a hypocrite. I will not do all this. Whatever is inside, I will just honest, right? So whatever is there inside, I just speak it out and tear open the other, criticize the other, and gossip about the other. So you have a responsibility in the stimuli also. So what kind of responses you give back? It is of 4 types. So first thing he is establishing is you have to ensure that your responses also must be of a good quality. Why? Then only yajna is complete. Why responses? Because your responses are the stimuli to, see, just as somebody using a word triggers a reaction in you, similarly when you use a word, that is going to trigger reaction in them, no? Because life is interaction. Life is an interaction. So it's not just the world is giving you stimuli. You are also giving back. Just as you want to ensure that others speak the right words to you, you also should ensure that you speak the right word. Just as you want to ensure that the other behaves rightly with you, you also must ensure that you behave rightly. But the difficulty that people have is, sir, I always speak the right words only. I always behave in the right manner only. It is the other that is creating all this problem. The law of karma would come and say, it is impossible. If you are speaking words of, if you are doing that, the world will return the courtesy, because world is the mirror. World is the mirror. You will not break the mirror because of an ugly figure, no? You stand in front of the mirror, you saw an ugly figure in front of the mirror, and you break the mirror for that. What does it mean? Purida? World is like the mirror. When you see an ugly figure in the mirror, what do you understand? The mirror is only showing what is there. You don't break the mirror. What people do is they want to break the mirror or change the mirror. If I get a better mirror, if I get that, everything will be better. Vedanta comes and says, world is like the mirror. Whatever is there, it reflects back. When it is reflecting back, you understand that you have contributed that. When it is reflecting back, you understand that you have contributed it. You have contributed to it in that way. That is why it is reflecting back. Therefore, what do you understand? You have a responsibility over the responses too, the type of responses too. So another important facet of yajna karma is you make an effort to ensure that proper responses come out of you. You need to make an effort to do that. Why? Because as I said, your stimuli is your responses are the stimuli to the world. Therefore, separately he is saying in verse number 28, ensure that you take care of your responses too. And these responses is of a few types. Now, that we will see later. That later means I'll describe that. So, important thing to discuss now is to understand this. Ensure that proper responses come out of you. Yeah. Instagram account இருக்குது, Twitter account இருக்கு, Facebook account இருக்கு. You can put whatever you want, no? No, sir, I'm only interested in creating an awareness. Yeah. Who gave you the responsibility of creating awareness to the world and educate and correct the others? Even there, you see that it is all hatred and jealousy and frustration and opinions and all that, no? You see all that. Why it is so? Because there is no taking care about my responses or the stimuli to others, and I have a responsibility to ensure that I give proper stimuli. Now, if I can't give any beneficial stimuli, at least I will ensure that I don't give. If I can't give Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya positive stimuli, at least I will ensure that I will not give negative stimuli. Therefore, responses is treated as a separate subject. How you respond back into the world, just as receipt of stimuli is taken as a separate subject and analyzed, The reaction part is taken as a separate subject and analyzed. The responses also are taken as a separate subject and analyzed. Are you okay till now? So this is in relation to the importance of treating responses also as the yajna. Having said this, we go into the verse. Having said this, having said this couple of points, we go into the verse. What are the type of responses that you can give back to the world? What are all the way in which you can give benefit to the world? In what type of responses that you can do that it would be beneficial to the world? He calls it as 4. Dravya yajna, tapo yajna, yoga yajna. Please remember, he is not saying jnana yajna, he is saying swadhyaya jnana yajna. Remember that, nalavadi yajna. Dravya yajna, tapo yajna, yoga yajna. We all want to do 1/2 of the 4th yajna. That is jnana yajna only we want to do. And the response, and the easy job we have taken upon ourselves. Yeah. And although we simply sit and talk. The 4th type of response is swadhyaya jnana yajna. When we go there, we'll see the details. First is dravya yajna. The first thing that you can do is dravya yajna. Dravya means grains. Literally, dravya means grains. Dravya yajna means yajna of offering grains. Why they call it as dravya yajna is because in the ancient times, the wealth is measured by the grains. Wealth is measured by the grains. Ipo kuda wealth is measured by the grains now. It's not that we are any different now. 3 weeks lockdown na porom. We go and buy stuff for 3 months, no? They only say the shops are going to be closed for 4 days na. We buy stuff for 4 months and keep, no? So even today we have not changed and all. Exactly even today we are still even though we know 4th day shop will be open, everything will be there. Now kuda we still hoard that much. Why? Wealth is measured by grains. When you give the ahuti here is what? Dravya yajna. What is the ahuti here? Your wealth is the ahuti here. So when you offer your wealth decreases, his wealth increases. In the Mari yajna we don't want. We don't want this yajna where I should give so that in turn my wealth is going to increase. Now I am ready to give. I give my wealth, his wealth is kindled, and my wealth is increased. Your wealth is the ahuti, and the other's wealth is the kindling. That's one yajna. That's one yajna. What is the yajna? Dravya yajna. What does dravya yajna means? It is not that you have surplus and you are giving. First of all, surplus vandale, you have become a thief already. Because hoarding. There is no surplus, hoarding and all that. Dravya yajna is giving material wealth, material benefit. You see somebody in trouble, you see somebody in difficulty, one help that you want to do is material wealth. The beauty here is he is discussing it in the order of subtlety. First, he spoke about the grossest form of help. The grossest form of help that you can do is Dravya Yajna. Adana kadaya sir. Dravya Yajna is the highest form of help is Dravya Yajna only. Krishna can say whatever he wants to say. Our சொன்னதே நீங்களும் அப்படியே மெக்கானிக்கலா ரிப்பீட் பண்ணின்னு இருக்கலாம், அதெல்லாம் கரெக்ட். பட் ரியாலிட்டி ஆஃப் லைஃப் சார், Dravya Yajna is the highest form of sacrifice. You believe like that is because you have not yet risen out of, you have not yet outgrown that Dravya level itself. That's why it looks, that's why it appears to be so great, so big. But then in the Bhagavad Gita, according to the Shastras, in the hierarchy of giving, material giving is the grossest. But still it is better because you are helping the welfare of the other is kindled. So first yajna, Dravya Yajna. When I say first yajna means, you should understand first yajna in the context of responses. First yajna in the context of responses. So first thing he says is Dravya Yajna. The second type of yajna is Tapo Yajna, yajna of austerity. Tapas means austerity. Austerity means a physical action. Austerity means physical. When we say physical means action, not body. It is not that you sacrifice your body, you sacrifice your action. In the Dravya Yajna, the wealth that you got is the result of your actions. What you got as the result of your action, you keep some and you offer some. Are you able to follow? The wealth that you got is the product of your action. That wealth, what you do, you keep some, and after keeping some, whatever you think is very minimal for you, after keeping that very minimal for you, if at all you are left with something that you can, because you have to take care of yourself, you have to take care of your children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, so many you have to take care. Where do you have anything to? When will you have anything to spare, to give? Assume that you have taken care of all that and you still have something more, you give. That is the product of your actions you are giving. Here what are you giving? The action itself you are giving. Are you able to follow the subtlety here? There you are only giving the result of your action. Here you are directly giving the action itself. So in that sense, it is slightly better. Now what does it mean by you giving the action itself? Parting with physical needs and comforts is far superior to Dravya Yajna. You part with your physical needs, you part with your comforts. Far superior. The third yajna is Yoga Yajna. What is Yoga Yajna? Yoga Yajna is still subtler. What is Yoga Yajna? Yoga Yajna is emotional and intellectual service. And emotional and intellectual service you do for the welfare of another. Whenever we talk about the welfare of another, what is welfare of another means? What is welfare? In the sense that we understand what is welfare to the other. Okay, what is welfare to you? What is good to you? Dravya, sir. What is good to you? Spiritual evolution is good to you. If spiritual evolution and that welfare is good to you, it is what? Good to the other also. Therefore, in yoga yajna, what are you doing? That's why the word yoga has come here. The word yoga has come here to signify that you render an emotional and intellectual service to the growth of the other. Though to make it simple, we give examples like emotional service. When somebody is depressed, when somebody is in sorrow, you sit and give emotions. Far subtler than physical action. When somebody is in need of a book, somebody is in need of the school fees, you pay that. You buy that book and give. You pay that fees. It is better than the emotional service. Are able to understand the difference? But here, don't take it as narrow. Here we talk about yoga yajna. Here we talk about yoga yajna in the context of emotional and intellectual service for the welfare of the other. Then comes the fourth. What is the fourth? Swadhyaya Jnana Yajna. Don't read it separately as Swadhyaya Yajna and Jnana Yajna. It is one Yajna. Swadhyaya Jnana Yajna. Swadhyaya means Swa Adhyaya. Swadhyaya is the combination of two words. Swadharma we say, no? Swa. Swa means one's own. Swa dharma. Madri, Swa Adhyaya. Swa is one's own. Adhyaya means study. So Swadhyaya means self-study. One's own study. One's own study, studying about one's own study. What does it mean? One's own study means studying about yourself. Studying about yourself. That studying about yourself is what is known as Swadhyaya. And why he uses the word Jnanam is because why he uses the word Jnanam here. Ignorance is the cause for not knowing who you are. So Jnanam is that which is the remedy for that. That is why Swadhyaya Jnana Yajna. Swa Adhyayana, you can keep breathing in and breathing out. You can keep chanting. You can do pilgrimages. You can do lot of punya karma and all that. But all that will not come under the Swadhyaya Jnana Yajna category. Why? Because in Swadhyaya Jnana Yajna, it is Jnanam, because that which is keeping you as an individual, that which makes you to believe that you are this individual is the Ajnanam, the ignorance. Since it is the Ajnanam, the ignorance, he says Swadhyaya Jnana Yajna. Now, in these four yajnas, in the order of subtlety, what you need to understand is subtler means not tangible. Subtler means not tangible. You need to have this penetrating capacity to able to see that benefit in that. The benefit that you can do to others is of two: gross and subtle. Gross means you can see it immediately. A person is hungry. A person is hungry, you give a meal. that person is satisfied immediately. You are able to see you also get satisfied immediately. Why? Because what gives you the satisfaction there? You are able to see the benefit. You are able to see the benefit visibly. In Swadhyaya Jnana Yajna, there is no benefit that is seen visibly. And what happens is, today we have lost conviction and Shraddha on the subtlety. We have lost conviction and Shraddha in the subtlety. Our Shraddha and conviction is always upon the grossest only. Grossest means that has to be manifested, that has to be visible. ஏதாவது ஒரு விசிபிள் பெனிஃபிட் இவ்வளோ நாளா கிளாஸ் எடுத்துட்டு இருக்கேல, அதனால என்ன விசிபிள் பெனிஃபிட்? விசிபிள் பெனிஃபிட் என்ன? Others have become wise to lecture to others. Our throat muscles have become more and more stronger. Yeah, அவ்வளவுதான் the visible benefit is. What is the visible benefit? Are you able to follow? Today we have lost Shraddha. We have lost conviction in we have lost Shraddha, we have lost conviction in the subtle. Why we have lost that conviction is because right from the childhood you go to school, you are taught. What is it that is taught? Truth means it has to be measurable and verifiable. Correct? 5th class le science class la solli kodupanga. Truth means, existence means it has to be measurable and it has to be verifiable. Something that is not measurable and verifiable doesn't exist. Since you are so conditioned to believe in this from early childhood, what do we believe in? So everything that we do, we want a visible, tangible, grosser benefit. Why? Because we are trained like that. Are you able to follow? When you go to school, science lab, you are taught. Again, I am repeating. What are you taught? Truth means it has to be. Existence means, truth means it has to be measurable. It has to be. You should be able to measure it. You should be able to verify it. Brahma Satyam Jagan Mityangarthaku, how can you measure it? From whom are you going to verify it? Forget Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. Even the beneficial activities in the world, as in the subtler activities itself, we are not able to see the benefit. The highest paropakaram, the greatest paropakara that a human being can do in life is the Gayatri Mantra. Dhiyo yona prachodayat. Dhiyo yona prachodayat. Dhiyo yona prachodayat means what? May he enable our intellects. Ours means what? You don't pray for your intellect. Dhiyo yona prachodayat. Dhiyo yona prachodayat means you pray for the welfare, you pray for the development of the intellects of everybody. Now, when you yourself is not convinced about there is this thing called intellect. 30 வருஷமா கேட்டா கூட அது still doubt தான் சார். intellect னு ஒன்னு இருக்குதா? What is this thing called intellect? நீங்களும் ஏதோ சொல்லினே இருக்கிறீங்க, நானும் ஏதோ சொல்லினே இருக்கல, அவர் சொல்லி கொடுத்ததை அப்படியே ரிப்பீட் பண்ணினே இருக்கிறேன். Still I may also have a same doubt whether there is this thing called intellect at all in the first place. Why? Because we have lost conviction and Shraddha in the subtlest. Our conviction and Shraddha comes right up to emotions. Adhukku mele we are lost completely. We come right up to the level of emotions. Why? Because emotions are also kind of verifiable, relatable. When we come to this 4 types of yajna, he is going in the order of, he is taking it in the order of subtlety. When he is taking it in the order of subtlety, the subtlest would be very, very difficult. To put it very simply, a person donates 1,000 crores. A person donates 10,000 crores. The whole world will give him the benefit of, the whole world will go and give him the benefit of, he is the most charitable person the world has ever known. A person realizes the self. He becomes a self-realized master. Yeah. Nobody will even know about it, recognize it. Are you able to understand the difference? Why we are not able to notice it, recognize it itself? Or if somebody is showing, if somebody is showing some emotions, you will be able to attend more to that person, no? Somebody shows affection, somebody shows an emotion. To that extent, there is a recognition. When it comes to the subtlest, absolutely no recognition. Why? Because we have not done that much of swadhyaya. So he says, the greatest benefit that you can do to other is swadhyaya. Actually, what you should have done, you should have said, carefully follow now. You should have said, swadhyaya is the greatest benefit you do to yourself. No, that makes sense. If he's saying self-study is the ultimate good thing that you can do to yourself, now it is understandable. But here he says, Rajavel, carefully follow. Here he says, the greatest benefit that you can do to another is self-study. Angada, he gives the, yeah, Angada, he gives a completely different dimension to it. Self-study is beneficial to you. Where is it beneficial to? Where is it beneficial to the other? How is it going to benefit to the other? That is why if anybody wants to go through the process of self-study, Vedanta, self-development and all that, people will call them as selfish and self-centered. Why are you worried about only your growth? You should be worried about the welfare of the world. In the context of the best response that you can give back is Swadhyaya Jnana Yajna. Not only in the order of, not only through logic and reason you can understand this is the subtlest, to make sure that you don't miss the point. In verse number 32-33, he is going to say, verse number 29. In verse number 32-33, he is going to say directly that of all the yajnas, Arjuna, 12 yajnas I spoke. And these 12 yajnas is just a tip of the iceberg I gave. Even in that tip of the iceberg that I gave, in my opinion, Arjuna, Swadhyaya Jnana Yajna is the best. And when Krishna, see, Krishna is not a person who gives opinions very freely. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, mari opinion la kudutane irukka mattaru. It is very difficult to extract, and you know it is extremely difficult to extract an opinion from a wise man. Yeah, you should have lived with a wise man. You should have struggled to get it. Then you will know. Ippalla opinions are free and fast and thick. And when a man like Krishna says, in my opinion, Swadhyaya Jnana Yajna is the best, you know what you should understand? The law. When a wise man says, this is my opinion, as a Shishya, how you should receive it? Oh, you should not receive it. How you should receive it? You should receive it as a vidhi. You should receive it as an injunction. You should receive it as a law. What is the law? Swadhyaya Jnana Yajna is the best. Okay, sir. How can you say this as the best? When you do this Swadhyaya Jnana Yajna, what type of responses will keep coming out of you? What type of responses will keep coming out of you? That's what they say in the great, I really don't know whether it is true or not. Bhadrachala Ramdas, they say when he was sleeping, even in deep sleep, if you go and keep your ears to his heart, the heart will keep saying Ram Ram only. A person who has done Swadhyaya Jnana Yajna, even in deep sleep, what he will be giving, each and every breath that comes out of him would be of the divine only. The breath that comes out of him is divine. The words that comes out of him is divine. The thoughts that comes out of him is divine. He is divine personified himself. Are you okay till now? And when they see you, when the world sees you, what is the stimuli they receive from you? What is the stimuli they will receive from you? He is a cheat. He is a rogue. கொஞ்சம் ஏமாத்திடுவாரு, ஜாகிரதையா இருக்கணும் அவர்கிட்ட. இந்த மாதிரியான response எல்லாம் will not come. These kind of thoughts will not come. When they see you, what is it that they will receive from you all the time? The entire world, what will they receive? Everything associated with the divine only. If you are ensuring that the world remembers the divine through you, each and every thought and word and deed of yours is helping the world to recognize the divine. This is the greatest help you can do to the other. If you have to do that, you should have it. No. Always remember this. What you have is what you can give. What you don't have, you can't give. If you have ignorance a lot and you may believe that you are wise, carefully follow. You have ignorance in tons, let us say that. But you may think that you are wise. What would you be giving to the world? What would you be giving to the world? What will come out of you? Answer soladingo. Just stand in front of the mirror and ask yourself this question. All of them. You have ignorance in tons, but you think you are wise. And when you give, what would you give to the world? You may think you are giving wisdom. Are you able to follow? ஒரு காலத்துல newspaper articles எழுதுவாங்க, because that is the way to give. And then they started writing blogs. இல்லையா? இப்போ blogs எல்லாம் இல்ல. You have to have your own YouTube. நான் படிக்கிறதுக்கு கூட யாருக்கும் டைம் இல்ல. So you have to have your own YouTube. You have to have your own YouTube channel. And in that YouTube channel, you need to, அதுல கூட பெருசாலாம் பேசக்கூடாது. 10 seconds you have to, 10 seconds தத்துவமசின்னு சொல்லினே இருக்க வேண்டியதுதான். What else you can say more than that in 10 seconds? Yeah, தத்துவமசின்னு சொல்லினே இருக்கலாம். Ignorance is there, but you think you are giving, but you believe you are giving knowledge. So even though you may think you are giving knowledge, in effect, in truth, in reality, what would you be giving? That which you have only you will give. That's what I said this story any number of times. I'm not going to the story again. That is what Ashtavakra told Janaka. Ashtavakra told Janaka, Guru Dakshina Kudupa first. Before we start the lecture, இல்லையா, நம்ம கூட அப்படி பண்ணலாம்னு நினைக்கிறேன் வெங்கட், ஜூம்ல. இல்லையா, ஒரு கிளாஸ் ஆரம்பிக்கிறதுக்கு முன்னாடி டிரான்ஸ்ஃபர் இல்லைன்னா கட்டுன்னு சொல்லலாம் போல இருக்கு. அப்புறம் ஒண்ணுமே இருக்காது. So, yeah. So Ashtavakra told Janaka, give the Guru Dakshina first before I start. And Janaka said, I will give you this, I will give you this, I will give you this, I will give you this. For everything that Janaka said, I will give you this, I will give you this, I will give you this, Ashtavakra kept on proving that it is not yours, it is not yours, it is not yours. Finally, Swadhyaya, this is a method of Swadhyaya. Finally, Ashtavakra made Janaka to realize what? Oh, என்னோடதுன்னு ஏதாவது authentic-ஆ என்னோடதுன்னு ஏதாவது சொல்ல முடியும்னா அது ஒண்ணே ஒண்ணுதான். What is it? Rajavel, what is it? Ignorance. That is what is authentically yours. In Swadhyaya, what do you do? In Swadhyaya, what do you do? You give that up. So, what is the ahuti here? What is the ahuti here? The ahuti here is ignorance. The ahuti that you give is the ignorance. What is kindled? What is kindled? Wisdom is kindled. Self. And this is the greatest help that you can do to the other. Why he is saying that is, in the initial stages of spiritual evolution and all that, there will be this motivation to do good to the world. You want to reform the world. You want to change the world. You want to bring in a lot of everything, no? All that will be in the initial stages. All these excitements will be there. For which he says, don't get carried away by all this. The real benefit that you can do to the other, the real benefit that you can do to the world and to yourself is Swadhyaya Jnana Yajna. A realized soul turns into a fountain of bliss and wisdom. Even if he is staying quiet, even if he is not uttering a word, even if he is staying quiet, through that silence also he is, even through silence he is only transferring the self. He may not be living in the world at all. He may be living in some remote highest peak in the mountains, like a Tapovan Maharaj. The whole world will seek him. Yeah. Govinda Bhagavad Pada was living in some caves in the Narmada river, in one of the caves. Nobody even knew him. The young boy from the other side of the planet, the young boy, the other side of the planet, Adi Shankaracharya, walked all the way to take the knowledge from him. The greatest benefit. Are you able to follow? The greatest benefit is to do this Swadhyaya Jnana Yajna. So, the 4 type of responses that you can do. What are the 4 type of responses that you can do? Dravya Yajna, Tapo Yajna, Yoga Yajna, Swadhyaya Jnana Yajna. And in my opinion, Arjuna, Swadhyaya Jnana Yajna is the, in my opinion, Swadhyaya Jnana Yajna is the best. In my opinion, Swadhyaya Jnana Yajna is the best. Why? Because anything else that you give is temporary, relative, ceases to exist after a while. You give wealth, it will diminish and it will come to zero at some point of time. You give physical help, the help will, the benefit, the result will diminish and come to zero at some point of time. You give emotional help, you give intellectual help and all that, that also will come to that also will diminish, come to an end at some point of time. If at all you want to give benefit to another, that benefit must be everlasting, permanent. If you have to give that everlasting, permanent benefit to other, You need to know what that permanent is, and you should have become that permanent. Again, I repeat, you should know what that permanent is, and you should have become that permanent. And then if you give that, this is the greatest benefit that you can do to the world. So, verse number 28. The 4 types of yajnas in relation to the responses. So, the possibilities are what? You can do dravya yajna for the material welfare of another, or you can do tapo yajna. Tapo yajna is you can physically go there and help. I don't have anything else to do, therefore I am going and helping. Na, that is not physical yajna. That is not tapo yajna. That is time pass. Now that I am free, sir, what can I do? I say, you do whatever you want. What can now that I am free, sir, is there any work? I say, no work. Not that when you have anything else to do, you go and do physical. That is not tapo yajna. That is simply a time pass. What is tapo yajna means? You are sacrificing that your actions, that time that you can put in action for your own benefit, you are sacrificing that, and you are going and helping somebody. Are you able to follow? You could have spent that time and benefit for yourself. Instead of doing that, you go and help somebody. It becomes a tapo yajna. Not that I have anything else to do. I go and do that. It is not tapo yajna. It's all very cruel to hear all this. It may be very pricking. It may be very painful. You may get angry or irritated at me also. But you know that I am only a speaker. No? You know that I am only a tape recorder. And you can't get angry at the tape recorder. If you have to get angry, you have to get angry at. Yeah, don't get angry at me. RK sir. நான் எதுவுமே சொல்ல அவர் என்ன சொல்றாரோ இல்லையா அவர் சொல்றதை நான் அப்படியே சொல்லின்னு இருக்கிறேன் டேப் ரெக்கார்டர். அண்ட் டோன்ட் பிரேக் த டேப் ரெக்கார்டர். டேப் ரெக்கார்டர் ஜாக்கிரதையா பார்த்துக்கோங்க. The truth is what? Dravya yajna is good. Tapo yajna is much better. Dravya yajna, tapo yajna. Better than that is yoga yajna. What is yoga yajna? You are doing an action for the benefit of the other. And the highest, the noblest is Swadhyaya Jnana Yajna. He gives, as it were, the self to others. If you are removing the ignorance of the other from the core, that is the greatest help that you can do. If you have to remove the ignorance of the other from the core, you should have removed your ignorance first. It means you should have understood how ignorance is at the core, is the cause for all the trouble. Now, if you yourself have not understood that, what would you give? What would you give? அவங்கெல்லாம் அப்படிதான் இருப்பாங்க, அவங்கதான் கெட்டவங்கன்னு தெரிஞ்சு போச்சு இல்ல, நம்ம ஜாக்கிரதையா இருக்கணும். They are okay, even though they are bad, even though they are a terrorist and all that, still we will love them. All this comes under the part of the first 3 yajnas, which is ignorance only. In the 4th yajna, wherever, whatsoever comes out of you, the breath, the thought, the word, the deed, everything, that all that comes out of you is only one. What? Only one. What is it? Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. Either tavara, nothing else will come out of you. Why? Because you have known it, you have understood it, you have experienced it. Therefore, Even if you are interested in the welfare of somebody, he says, do swadhyaya jnana yajna. Seriya? These are the 4 types of yajna with which we have dealt with the response part. The response part of the life. Of the 3 transactions, receipt, reaction, and response. This is how we have dealt with the response part. We have dealt with the response part by saying, of the very many things that you can give, the best thing that you can give is the self. Is it okay till now? There are some clarifications that I
and yoga yajna. Sorry, I made
yoga yajna. Okay, yeah. Okay, correct. Tapo yajna and yoga yajna. Do they overlap or distinctly different? They are distinctly different. In tapo yajna, it is the physical benefit. The physical benefit, as in somebody is in need of a physical help. You go there, you physically do that and you come back. It's a physical help. That is tapo yajna. Yoga yajna is emotion and intellect. It belongs to the subtle body. It belongs to the subtler aspect of your personality. The emotion and the knowledge. Like, for example, I may not have realized the self, but I am still talking about the self. What it would fall under? It would fall under yoga yajna. Because listening to me, you may have attained the self. I would still be stuck in ignorance. Are you able to follow? Are you able to follow the difference?
Yes, sir.
This is yoga yajna, where the benefit is I am interested in benefiting you by giving you the scriptural knowledge. In tapo yajna, it is a physical help that I want to do. It is directly limited and restricted to the physical help. In dravya yajna, it is directly limited and restricted to the check that I give, to the wealth that I give. It is done and over. Nothing continues after that. In tapo yajna, it is a physical help. What is the physical help? The physical help is I go and help a person physically. Like, nowadays we have this thing called marriage caterers, contractors, event managers. They do everything. 50 years back, 75 years back, if there is a wedding in the family, the whole town will, the entire village will, the entire village will pool in to help. Are you able to follow?
Yes.
This is called tapo yajna. When I am doing the physical help, though I am physically helping, what I could do, why it is called as very limited is because of these reasons. As I am doing physical help, what I could do, I can gossip about the people to whom I am helping. Or I can say, last year in my house they come and did it, so might as well go on, finish it off, settle the accounts. Or as a burden, they called me for help and I couldn't say no. Therefore, though I am physically helping, it is not a complete yajna in itself. Why it is not a complete yajna in itself? Because of these reasons. Are you able to follow? As yes. I am doing all this, I can be, but just because I am thinking all this doesn't mean the physical help that I am doing is not happening. This is called tapo yajna. Dravya yajna means with contempt I can give a check, no? Idan last time. Inme tiri வந்து கேட்னே இருக்காதீங்க. ஏதோ ஒரு வாட்டி கொடுத்தாச்சு, இனிமே டோன் திருப்பி வந்து கேட்னே இருக்கா இல்லையா? வருஷா வருஷம் யஜ்ஞா வரும், வருஷா வருஷம் குரு பூர்ணிமா வந்துன்னு இருக்கிறோம். நீங்க வருஷா வருஷம் வந்து அப்பீல் லெட்டரோட எல்லாம் வந்திருக்காங்க. டோன்ட் கீப் கம்மிங் இயர் ஆஃப்டர் இயர் இல்லையா? Give once. This is dravya yajna. Though yajna is, though giving is happening, there is a limitation to it. Are you able to follow? There is a limitation to it here. Similarly, in tapo yajna also there is a limitation. Similarly, there is a limitation in yoga yajna also. Similarly in yoga yajna also there is a limitation. What is the limitation of yoga yajna? As I am giving the knowledge, I can go back thinking, என்னதான் எல்லாரும் எக்ஸ்பிளைன் எல்லாம் பண்ணாங்கனாக்க கூட, the way that I explain and the way that I make it simple, nobody has done it till now. அப்படின்ற arrogance ஓட I can go back. Though you are benefited, it is limited still. Why it is limited is because if you outgrow my level, easily you will know, he was a very good professor, I took help from him, thank you, but you will keep walking away. Are you able to follow what I am saying? So yes, even though it is a help, it also has its own limitations. So dravya yajna has its own limitations, tapo yajna has its own limitations, yoga yajna has its own limitations. What is the difference between tapo yajna and yoga yajna? In yoga yajna, carefully follow. In yoga yajna, an action will happen, but that action, the focus, the accent, the attitude behind it is subtle. Even though I am speaking is an action, is different from coming and cutting vegetables, no? There is a huge function there. There is a 500 people going to come to your house. Nobody is going to come, Ashaji. I'm just saying. Nobody will come now. So suddenly you know that people are going to come, and then you know that you can't hire anybody. So what do? Vedanta group, like healthy, hygienic volunteers are requested to come and cut onions. So we 10 will descend in your house. Yeah, the entire Vedanta Institute Madras Jing Bang will come and descend on your house, in your house, cut everything, and we all will quietly go. It is a physical help. Are you able to follow?
Yes.
So there is a difference between tapo yajna and yoga yajna. In yoga yajna, the focus is not on the physical help, the focus is on the betterment of the other. In tapo yajna, I want to do a physical help. I want to relieve the other of a physical burden. If I don't relieve the other of the physical burden, that person has to sit and do that. So my focus is on relieving the other of the physical burden. In dravya yajna, my focus is on relieving the other of the burden of not having wealth. In tapo yajna, my focus is on removing the burden of the physical strain of the other. In yoga yajna, my focus is on removing the burden of, I have taken it upon myself that I have to help, I have to reform the world, I have to help the other. No doubt it is definitely better. In swadhyaya jnana yajna, what is the difference? In swadhyaya jnana yajna, there the focus is not on helping anything. It's not a material help, it's not a physical help, it's not an emotional, intellectual help. You go to the core. What is the core? Ignorance at the core. And you are removing that. Are you able to follow?
Yes.
So you asked about tapo yajna and yoga yajna only. I connected all the four in the order of subtlety. there will be a distinct different approach. Are you able to follow?
So the clarification that I had was,
Yeah.
like suppose I go to the hospital to help somebody.
Yes.
There I will also be giving, though it's a what you say, comes under tapoyajna. I am when I talk to the patient and all that, I'm emotionally making the patient better themselves. So is it not overlapping? Was my clarification.
No, when you go there, the focus for you is what?
After going there, the focus will change to the
After, yes, correct. Now you are precise. After going there, if you have changed the focus, it is different. After going there, you change your focus, it is different. Now in yajna, we don't change it like that. When I am pouring the ahuti itself, I am very clear as to what I want to do. Are you able to follow the difference?
Yes. Yes.
I go there. After going there, I see that person crying and suffering. I start giving emotions also. I didn't go with that intent. Having gone there, I changed. Still, it will fall under the yajna only. But from your side, what is the ahuti that you poured? You didn't go there with, you are not able to understand in the beginning itself that that person is in need of some emotion. I go there, even when I do the physical help in the hospital, that physical help is also my way of showing my emotion and to give that emotional help to the other. You are very clear and then you go. It means you are practicing yoga.
First it will.
You go there as a nurse and then you see that person crying, and looking at that person crying, you also feel affected and you are also disturbed by it and you start helping the other. But there what yajna it would fall under? It would fall under tapo yajna only. Why? Because you didn't begin with the intent of doing that. It so happened that you also got emotionally involved and you are doing that. There we will say from tapo yajna, the emotional involvement took over, we will say. That's why I said it will be slightly painful to hear. It will be slightly pricking to hear. I'm not saying you have to agree to it. I'm not saying you have to swallow this. This is what he's saying. Are you able to follow the difference?
Yes, sir. Now it's very clear.
Now, the intent with which I am talking is, I want name and fame and wealth. The intent with which I am talking on Bhagavad Gita, the 12 yajnas and all that is only, I want only material benefit or name and fame out of it. Incidentally, you are getting spiritual benefit now. As a karta of doing yajna, what is the yajna that I am doing?
Dravya yajna.
Are you able to follow? No yajna at all. Only selfish and no yajna inga. Selfish and self-centered and cheating. You I'm not doing that. Huh? Ashaji, you know me, no? Huh? I'm not doing that. I'm saying, even though it is happening like that, still you cannot call it as, because in yajna, the crux of the yajna is the intent with which the ahuti is done, the intent with which you start. Somewhere down the line, you could change. We are not saying you should not change. You could change. But for all practical purposes, what you should understand, that yajna will not be called as a combination of, it will not be like a chivda of dravya yajna, tapo yajna, yoga yajna.
Yeah.
It will not become a chivda. It will not become like, South Indian language, aviyala maridadu. It will not become an aviyala of all the yajnas put together. With what intent you started, it is that yajna only. That's where, that's how, unless you understand it with this kind of clarity, you will not move from one yajna to the other yajna. Are you able to follow? Otherwise, you will think you are doing all the yajna anyway.
Yes.
I know from which angle she is coming from. Yeah. I'm doing all the yajna anyway. No, no, no. Aviyal Shivudalna is not acceptable here. It has to be very,
Clear.
it has to be very clear and specific. Are you able to follow?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay,
Yes,
Ashaji.
thank you, sir.
Yeah. Right. The next clarification. Subramaniam. Yesterday you mentioned that Krishna is not the author of Gita. Though in many places he says that he has heard from his elders, but since it was a discussion between the two, Arjuna and Krishna, please enlighten. Now, yesterday, Subramaniam. Okay. Okay. Oh, yeah, right. Okay. அது என்ன ஆயிடுறது சில சமயம் அது வெறும் பேர் இருக்கு பிளாங்கா இருக்கா யாருன்னே தெரியறது இல்லை எனக்கு and I after a point I get very this thing as to who I'm talking. Okay. நீங்களா அது right. See. Even though Bhagavad Gita, the author of Bhagavad Gita, according to the Shishya, according to Arjuna, is Krishna only. From the standpoint of the Shishya, from the standpoint of Arjuna, the author of the Bhagavad Gita is Krishna and he is the teacher. Krishna says, it is not mine. That's it. That is the difference. The Guru says, the Shishya says, Arjuna says, it is Krishna's. In verse number 67, 68 of chapter 18, he says, Tvat prasadan mayachuta. This knowledge is the prasad I got from you, Krishna. Arjuna says that. Tat prasadan mayachuta. Oh, Achyuta, this is the knowledge that I got from you as the prasad. Now the Shishya will say that. The Shishya always says the knowledge is from this Guru only. What the Guru says? He says, this is what I have heard from my masters. See, one of the unique contribution of Vedanta, one of the extraordinary contribution of Vedic and Vedantic literature is the Guru Shishya Parampara. Extraordinary is the devotion to the Guru Shishya Parampara. Extraordinary is the devotion and surrender to the Guru Shishya Parampara. You go to Vyasa, like even today when we do the Brahma Yajna and all that, we say even Guru Purnima is celebrated as Vyasa Purnima, no? Yes. Krishna Dvaipayana Deha Herishaya Tan Rishin Tan Sarvan Rishin. So we start with Vyasa as the Rishi Parampara. Vyasa says, na vandu Vedaku librarian pa, he says. I didn't create the Vedas. I was only a librarian and then the book eduthu and then the slot la potten avladha. Vyasa says, I'm only a librarian. I didn't write the Vedas. I am not the author of Vedas. But as a Shishya, what we will say? Are you able to follow the difference?
Modesty.
Yes, as a Shishya, we say it is his. Vyasa says, I'm only a librarian. Why he says that is because you see the limited personality and attribute the knowledge to the limited personality. Now the Shishya only sees the Guru as a limited personality. Carefully follow now. It's not a false modesty or humility they are practicing. The Shishya sees the limited personality of the Guru and misunderstand that the entire knowledge belongs to this limited personality. When they say it is from the infinite itself, what are they saying? Don't restrict the entire knowledge to this limited personality. Otherwise, when they say this, most of the time we misunderstand it to be thinking that they are all very humble, they are all very modest. It's not that they are all very arrogant also. They are very humble, they are very modest, but it is not just the humility. It is something deeper than that. What is it? As a Shishya, you see the Guru as a limited personality, but what you don't understand, Arjuna, is I am not this limited personality. But the Shishya is restricting it only to the limited personality. So Guru says in two ways. Guru Shishya Parampara, they prostrate to the Guru Shishya Parampara. Also, when they prostrate to the Guru Shishya Parampara, they say it is of the highest. That is why in the Guru Parampara shloka, we say Sada Shiva Samarambam. Who is the first teacher? Dakshinamurti is the first teacher. And how he taught? He taught in. And how he taught? He taught in. The week after week, Zoom our class. He talked. He communicated in silence. He was staying quiet. Dakshina Murti na. Dakshina means Dakshina in the north. Murti facing that north. And the direction or Abdukandra. He's just sitting in the direction without uttering a word, and all the disciples
sitting
got the knowledge. So what they do, it is a respect to the tradition. It is a respect to the tradition. Not only it is a very superficial respect to the tradition, it is the conviction that Vedas, Vedanta, the self is anadi. Therefore, they want to ensure that continuity is maintained right through. Are you able to follow Subramaniam?
Yes.
Therefore, it is a humility, but at the same time, it is not just a humility alone. Because humility is also a quality of the mind. Humility is also a quality of the world. But here the Guru is not talking anything of the world. All that he is talking about is something
limited,
far above than all this. Are you able to follow? And on the angle you have to understand. Are you okay?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, clarification from Bala. Kainkaryam. Which type of the 4 yajna it is? Kainkaryam is, if you take the linguistic meaning, Kainkarya means physical service. Tapo yajnada. If you take the linguistic meaning. If you want to go into the philosophical, theological aspect of all this, then Kainkaryam as a word itself is very confusing. It will become an aviyal, a chivda of everything. That is why the physical aspect of it is, the linguistic aspect of it is physical service. Kainkaryam pannungo. Kainkaryam pannungo enna artham? Illaya? இங்கேருந்து ஒரு மூட்டை எடுத்து அங்க வைக்க சொல்லுவா. இதை தூக்கி எங்க வைங்கோன்னு சொல்றதுக்கு பதிலா கொஞ்சம் கைங்கரியம் பண்ணுங்கன்னா do a physical help. Now, when people bring in the idea of theological interpretation and all, in the theological interpretation they make a chivda of everything. They make a chivda of everything and they say, no, இது வந்து நீங்க தப்பா சொல்றீங்க, உங்களுக்கு கைங்கரியம்னால என்னன்னு தெரியல. Kainkarya means it is material, physical and emotional and intellectual. All put together is what this word Kainkarya means. It is all comprehensive. It is all inclusive. Now, anything that is all inclusive and all, it means lack of understanding and clarity. Therefore, we say it is Kainkarya. I would restrict Kainkarya only to the physical service.
There many times in the event I see people with no offense, a receipt book, bill book, they say, right? So it's kind of, are they expecting physical service from me, or they, of course, they are connecting money or funds and all that.
Funds அங்க புக் கையில வச்சிருந்தாலே ஃபண்ட்ஸ் தான். அங்க கைங்கரியம்னா மெட்டீரியல் திரவிய யஜ்ஞம் பண்ணுங்கன்னு அர்த்தம்.
Yeah, but it looks like the real intention is kainkaryam means only through your body, physical contribution.
Physical. In the linguistic meaning of Kaingaryam is physical only.
Okay, but real
Now,
nature,
see, now what happens is, as the humanity changes and all that, we don't use one word for one. We always mix up.
okay.
We always mix up concepts with the words.
Okay.
That is why in Vedanta we want to establish very clearly that this word in this context it would mean this only.
Excellent. Okay. And the nirupti அப்படினு சொன்னீங்க அந்த
correct.
Vedantic terminology
yes.
analyze பண்ணனும்.
That is why we have this dictionary and etymology and all that, and we restrict it like this.
Excellent. Thank you. இதுல one more இதுல நான் கேள்வி கேட்டிருந்தேன். என்னன்னா வந்து அது I will read it. Next question actually.
Yes.
இது Gayatri Javam you said is for the, thanks for really clarifying. I thought it was more like practice பண்றவங்களோட practitioner intellect will boost up அப்படினா. Looks like it is prayer for the entire lokakshemam மாதிரி.
Yes.
Everybody's welfare and intellectual enhancement.
Yes.
So if that is the case, the Sandhya Vandanam, which is the complete sequence, or the Sandhya Upasana, which is a kind of a shortened version of it, right? Compact version. And the sequence, is it for the enhancement of only the practitioner of the self, or even that sequence also is it for the complete beneficial of the Lokakshema? That's my
even
question.
even the sequence there is ultimately intended to the Lokakshema only.
Okay.
It is not for the benefit in Veda and Vedanta. All actions that is done here would, even though it will start with you as a practitioner, it will end in Lokakshema at stage number 1. At stage number 2, it will end as Om Tat Sat Brahmarpanamastu. Abdina, what does it mean?
Okay.
All Vedic rituals, all Vedantic actions, all rituals, all actions that comes from Vedas and Vedanta, that the purpose is very clear. Limited purpose is Lokakshema. Ultimate purpose is Om Tat Sat Brahmarpanamastu. It means what? Even the Lokakshema that you thought you are doing it for, that also you give up for the sake of moksha.
Okay.
That is why we say Om Tat Sat.
Okay.
If we don't say that, the action is not complete. At the end of the class, if I don't say Om Tat Sat, Om Tat Sat, and what does it mean? Even the Lokakshema is also not the intended purpose. What is the intended purpose? That's why in Veda and Vedanta, the purpose they establish it very clearly in, let it be the ritual, let it be the chanting, let it be the shloka, let it be the temple worship, let it be the philosophy. In fact, all the other 4 is only an explanation of the philosophy. What is the philosophy? Liberation, moksha. That's all. There is nothing, there is no compromise from this at all. But then there are stages by which they take us.
Okay.
But then what had happened is, the people get stuck at some stage and they assume that itself is the ultimate.
Understood. Okay. So the first stage on the purification should be, it is for the self, for the practitioner.
Correct.
Then the chitta should be all that, the mind, body, mind, karma, then ultimately you do it for the Lokakshema. Then
You got it exactly, Bala. First is the place I purify.
Okay.
Then I purify myself, the body.
Okay.
Then I purify my mind. Then I purify my agitations and all that. I keep it aside.
Okay. Kama Karshan, Mandra Karshan.
Then I start the real prayer. What is the real prayer? Let all our intellects be sharp. It's not only my intellect.
Okay.
நம்ம பாரதியார் வந்து தமிழ்ல டிரான்ஸ்லேட் பண்ணிருக்கிறார் காயத்ரியை.
Oh, okay.
He has translated it so beautifully. One of the magnificent translation of Gayatri in Tamil is done by Yur Bharadiyar has done it. Adityan எங்களது அறிவினை தூண்டட்டும் அப்படின்னு போடுறாரு.
Oh, plural. Okay.
Beautifully he has done it. Actually, adu படிச்சதுக்கு அப்புறம் தான் I went and did my Sanskrit study in detail and I understood it is the same meaning.
Oh, okay, okay.
First, when I was doing it in 5th standard and 6th standard and all that, I also thought it is for mine only.
Okay, okay.
7th class la Tamil teacher சொல்லி கொடுத்தாரு.
Oh.
காயத்ரி பன்றையாடனார். ஆமா அப்படின்னா. பாரதியார் என்ன சொல்லி இருக்கிறார் தெரியுமான்னு கேட்டாரு. தெரியல சார். He explained it.
Wow, okay.
எங்களது அறிவினை தூண்டட்டும்னா, it is not only mine, it is the collective.
Collective consciousness. Okay.
It is the collective intellect. So it's not only my intellect, it should be the intellect for everybody. Is the loka sangraha, that the highest benefit that you can ask for, the highest welfare, the highest loka kshema prayer that you can do is let everybody have a strong and powerful intellect.
Excellent. Okay.
But that is also for what? That is for what? It's not an end in itself. Having a powerful intellect is not an end in itself. That is for what?
Moksha.
Brahmarpanamastu.
Okay.
It is for attaining that state of
Brahman.
Are you okay, Bala?
Excellent, sir. So இதுல நீங்க சொன்னீங்கல்ல அந்த லோக சங்கிரஹா லோக க்ஷேமம் அது ரெண்டும் சிமிலரா இல்ல
Similar.
சங்கராந்தி அது மாதிரி that is means prosperity.
இல்ல. Both are same. Loka sangraha, loka kshema, both are one and the same.
Okay. And அந்த இதுல கைம் கரியம்ன்றது கர்யா மீன்ஸ் கர்த்தா கர்த்தவ்யா அது மாதிரி ஒரு ஆக்ஷன் இருக்குல்ல. So கைம் கரியம்ன்றது என்ன அது? I'm trying to understand. I don't want to go into language aspects, but I'm trying to break it down to understand.
Etymological Sanskrit meaning of that kaikarya comes from the root kara, means to do.
To do. Okay. Apna action.
Kartrutva.
Okay.
Kaikarya has a kartrutva in it.
Okay. So somebody
Kaikarya is that which has kartrutva in it in etymological meaning adha.
Excellent. Okay. And Mahapriyava madala when they say kainkaryam pannu adu mari they have to be involved அப்படினாவே it means okay physical body.
When I am all the time so selfish and self-centered, thinking what will I get, adukku better kainkaryam பண்றது better இல்லையா?
Correct. Okay.
But then the very kainkarya itself will be ridiculed and demolished, and you will be told to go to the next level.
Excellent. Okay. I think the ultimate goal நீங்க சொல்றது வந்து எல்லாருமே அந்த இந்த previous இதுல சொன்னீங்களே அந்த ரெசிடியூ இருக்க கூடாது. Ultimately residue leave ஆச்சுனாவே then it means
yes.
You have to end everything with the tattvamasi or om tat sat.
Correct.
So that there is zero residue left in the yajna.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. I think I'm clear now. Okay. Thanks. Thank you.
Yeah. Now Suresh, only in the 4th yajna you don't require any other being. In all other yajna there is a giver and the receiver. In yajna itself means two, the giver and the receiver. Even in swadhyaya jnana yajna also there is the giver, there is the receiver, as it were. What is the ahuti here in swadhyaya jnana yajna? The ignorance becomes the ahuti. You become the ahuti. Your ignorance becomes the ahuti. What is kindled there as a response? Ahuti na, there is a kindling. So kindling means that which has risen. What did rise? Ignorance went as it were, and Brahman rose as it were. So even here there are two. The destruction of the ignorance and rising of self-realization, as it were. Graphically புரிஞ்சுக்கிறோம் யஜ்ஞான்றதுல. We don't understand it philosophically. We try to understand here as in graphically. சரியா Suresh? So even here there are these. Even here there are these two. One gets destroyed, another gets kindled. In yoga yajna, Suresh again. In yoga yajna, one does intellectual service. that is talking about self till one becomes self-realized. What he carries in the name of knowledge is only ignorance. Am I right? Yes. Without knowing Tattvamasi, 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 and I keep saying Tattvamasi, you are that, you are that, you are that, na, it is still ignorance only. It is still ignorance only. Correct. In that case, parting knowledge of self can be done only by a self-realized person. Yes. The knowledge of self can be given only by a self-realized person. Meaning, a professor can talk about Tattvamasi, but you will not be convinced to pursue that. When a Ramana Maharishi or when a Ramatirtha says, or when a Ramakrishna Paramahamsa says, you will be convinced to pursue that. Are you able to follow the difference? It means they are able to, it is them, they alone can give you the knowledge of the self. Seriya?
Okay.
Suresh?
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Now, Prasanna, is Swadhyaya Jnana Yajna limited to giving the information of scriptures, or can also be other things which can kindle the divine? In Swadhyaya Jnana Yajna, you are not giving the information of the scriptures. Prasanna?
Yes, sir.
Okay. In Swadhyaya Jnana Yajna, the information about it is not lecturing on the scriptures or the information of the scriptures. That will fall under Yoga Yajna. That is why in Swadhyaya Jnana Yajna, even if the person is not talking about it also, he may be writing a poem like a Tyagaraja. He may be doing Karma Yoga like a Janaka. He may be doing Karma Yoga like a Janaka, or he may be writing a hymn like a Tyagaraja, or he may be giving a discourse like a Ramatirtha. It doesn't really matter. All are giving the self there. So in Swadhyaya Jnana Yajna is not limited to giving the information of scriptures. In a way, whatsoever they speak is a scripture. Because the self-realized person, whatsoever the self-realized person spoke is the scripture. Now, what we call as Vedas is what? The utterances of the self-realized masters. So, whoever is a self-realized master, whatever he speaks, that will be added to the Veda. That would be added to the scripture. We would add that to our scripture, and that also will become part of Vedanta.
Right, sir.
So, in that way, whoever is realized, whatsoever they do, they only give the knowledge of the self, and it is only
Scripture. Whatever
it is
they
only
say,
scriptures.
whatever they do, it's scripture.
Yes, whatever they do is knowledge. Adugum Nandru, he says, no. Whatsoever they do is good. They are talking, it is good. When they are not talking, it is good. When they are giving their life for another, it is good. When they are taking the life of another,
It is good.
again it is
Good.
Again it is good.
Like Krishna.
Yes. In that way, Swadhyaya Jnana Yajna is not restricted only to giving an analytical explanation of the scriptures Kurtada Swadhyaya. It's not that.
Understood, sir.
Seriya? Is it okay? Yeah. With this, I think I have taken all the clarifications of today. Yeah. All the clarifications are over. With this, I conclude for today, and we continue next week.